Hello everyone, this is Ross with Market Traders Daily, and this is today's video analysis for January 13, 2020. Today we're looking at the EURUSD, the euro versus the US dollar for today's trade analysis. Looking here at the daily time frame, a couple of things I want to point out. First are the moving averages. I have two moving averages on this chart. The blue line is the 200 period simple moving average, and the green line is the 100 period simple moving average applied here on the daily time frame. Moving averages help give us an idea of trend direction and the momentum of that trend by the width between those moving averages. They can also help us identify some areas that may be support or resistance underneath an average as resistance, above it as support under with the moving average underneath the market. So potential support, resistance, trend, momentum, all of that can be identified with moving averages. Then we look at the black line being a trend line, rising trend line, bottoming out with the last two lows along the black trend line, bottom of the trend line, and the middle part of the trend line. We can see currently the market is underneath that. So when we're talking about uptrend, we look for higher lows and higher highs, and that's really what a trend line is there to represent, our higher lows in this case, as the trend was moving up. And currently we are underneath that trend line. So that's, I think, important for us today is the 200 period moving average sitting at 111.40 or so, right at the bottom of that orange zone. The black trend line bottoming or touching the last two lows, and we are currently underneath that trend line. So this area here, right around this orange zone, becomes an intraday resistance for us. As long as it's underneath there, 111.40.50, we're looking for resistance. We've seen resistance here before, and I'll just draw this simple black circle right here, and you can see right in this area, the market found resistance. Sure, it spiked a little bit higher, but for the most part, price action held underneath the orange zone as resistance, fell all the way down here to the purple zone. If I zoom back out a little bit, we can see some other areas of resistance around this orange shade area. Here it is back here on the far left hand corner of the or side of the chart. You can see resistance here at the orange zone. You can see some congestion and resistance here, where in the farthest left hand side, where the market found resistance and continue to go down, purple and blue zone on the way down. So historically, we have seen resistance here at this orange zone, 111.40.50 before. So a couple of things lining up here today. We have the underneath side of this black trend line. We have the 200 period moving average. We have historical resistance around this orange shade area, even some support seen around this orange zone, 111.40, 1.1150. So as long as it's underneath there, I don't think it's a good time to buy the euro dollar. We've had last week, we had significant bearish momentum for over the past week and a half, I guess. Significant bearish momentum for the euro dollar. The question is, will the dollar continue to go up? We've seen ups and downs for the dollar, but we've seen predominantly bullish for the dollar in the past week and a half or so, which has led the euro dollar lower. So the question is, will the dollar continue to go up? If it does, we'll look for this to pressure lower under the orange zone, to the yellow zone, to the purple zone, and lower from there. If the dollar suddenly tanks, if it suddenly turns lower, then we could see this break right through. So that's the risk in this scenario, is that it breaks through the orange zone and it goes higher. So if we're going to trade this orange zone, underneath it becomes resistance and an opportunity to go short. And above it is the risk. If we're going to buy the euro dollar, then we would want it to break through 111.50 before we consider the long or buy scenario here for the euro dollar. Yellow zone right now holding as our support. That is 111.15, 1.1105. So that's your support. And of course, underneath that support, underneath the yellow zone, we'd look for it to go lower. Purple zone becomes your first target lower below the yellow zone. And by the way, above the orange zone, the blue zone is the next target higher, 111.75.85. So we can see where our support resistance levels are for the day today. I think it's very interesting that we are also sitting underneath that moving 200 period moving average, the orange zone, and the black trend line there, which represents that historical rising trend, but now being challenged as a resistance. Take it down to the 4-hour time frame. We can already see one touch of that trend line earlier today as it came up underneath it. Any challenge of that orange zone underneath the black trend line becomes a potential opportunity. If you're more so looking for the long opportunity, the yellow zone becomes your friend today, 1.1115. If the dollar decides to turn lower, we'll look at that during the trade room today. Then maybe buying the yellow zone, targeting the orange zone or higher becomes your opportunity. But I think for the most part, that 200 period moving average, the underneath side of the black trend line, orange zone, becomes something I'm looking for today on the euro dollar.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.